that people do focus on what they don't want. And, you know, the mind doesn't understand no. It doesn't understand what you don't want. All it knows is what you focus upon. And if you're talking about focus upon what you do not want, then what shows up is what you don't want.
Exactly.
And what you're emphasizing here is that, you know, instead of talking about getting all this energy to all the things that you don't want in your life, how about you focus on the things that you do want? And then that's what shows up, because the brain doesn't know if you're watching television, doesn't know if you're watching something on the street. It doesn't know you're talking about what you don't. It only brings into your, and you know, the law of attraction, you know, invites into your life the things that you're focusing upon, regardless if it's wanted or unwanted.
You're listening to the What's Up with DJ podcast with your host and personal development coach, David DJ Lloyd Jr. Each week, he brings you current events and trending topics from a spiritual perspective, including career development, finance, holistic living, and life hacks, along with stories that invoke humor and inspiration. So if you're ready, let's join the conversation. Here's DJ.
My guest this week is Jeevan Matharu. He is a transformational coach and the author of the book, Become a Person of Value, which is geared towards helping you become a person of value. Jeevan believes success is not merely pursued, it is attracted. His book, Become a Person of Value, covers a range of topics, from setting goals to psychology, and topics such as faith, mentality, and spirituality. As a financial advisor, Jeevan has been featured in the Times newspaper as one of the top advisors in 2021. He has acquired qualifications in life coaching, psychology, and counseling. He is also a member of Mensa, which means he possesses an IQ within the top 2 percentile. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, really happy to be here, DJ.
Oh, I'm glad that you're here as well, man. Okay, cool. You know, and so let's talk about your book. Your book is Become a Person of Value. And so what is your definition of value in terms of your book?
Becoming your best self in whatever endeavor. So there are some basics. You know, you want to be in good physical health, of course. You don't want to be fat, obese, and having problems. But then once you've established what you're going to do, how are you going to be the best version in that area? How are you going to set goals? How are you going to motivate yourself every day? What type of psychology do you have to be the best? So judo, as an example, I took up judo at 30 a couple of years back. I did do it as a child as well. But I went into judo at the start, you know, just to rekindle the love really that I had as a kid. But now we've got different goals. I want to be the best player in the country. Now, if you have that ambition, you are more likely to train 5 times a week, go to the gym, do your research on techniques and stuff. If your ambition was to just go once a week, you know, just to get out of the house, make a few friends and keep fit, you're never going to get to that top echelon. Yeah. So you have to have ambitious goals. And this is really where the book is trying to push you to that next level. Through, obviously, as I said, all of those chapters, inclusive of the softer stuff such as mindset and spirituality, because for me, you know, they are really important. You know, you will have heard of the law of attraction.
And one of the books that you talked about is you talk about the law of attraction in your book, but one of the chapters that I definitely want to key in on is the chapter 4, which is based in spirituality. And so what do you feel is the top 3 spiritual laws that will make you a person of value?
So there's loads. I've actually got a copy of the book in front of me. There's 50 overall. And
we can't cover 50. Really we can't cover 50.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So there's not really well, there's 50, as I said, and there's not really one is better than another, but there are a few that I really like. The first one is the law of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to manifest something, you have to have something in the mind first. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's a bit weird. Surely you should do something just off a whim, but actually you have to finish something before you start it. So in terms of a house, so the building that you're sitting in at the moment, the first thing that happened was that was designed in the mind of an architect first. It was then drawn on paper. It was then sort of vetted and make sure that it's all sound. It was then built, decorated, and here you are recording a podcast. Yeah. The same goes with anything else, any business, any person who becomes a professional in any endeavor of life. They first had the vision that was the path for them to take. They then have to be disciplined and go through the relevant steps in order to get there, and then something is manifested. So for me, that's a really important law, because without that, we will never manifest exactly what we're after. You know, many people say, I don't want to be single. That's not really a manifestation approach. What you want to say instead is, and this is the importance of language, I want a relationship. One is negative based and one is positive based. When you say you want a relationship, you can then say, well, what type of person am I after, etc., etc. So I think one of them is a key for me is the law of manifestation.
Yes, the law of manifestation, because I like when you go into detail about, I saw in one of your previous interviews that people do focus on what they don't want. And, the mind doesn't understand no. It doesn't understand what you don't want. All it knows is what you focus upon. And if you are talking about focus upon what you do not want, then what shows up is what you don't want. Exactly. And what you're emphasizing here is that, instead of talking about giving all this energy into all the things that you don't want in your life, how about you focus on the things that you do want? And then that's what shows up, because the brain doesn't know if you're watching television, doesn't know if you're watching something on the street. It doesn't know you're talking about what you don't. It only brings into your, and the law of attraction, invites into your life the things that you're focusing upon, regardless of it's wanted or unwanted.
Yeah, exactly. You are a vibration and energy, aren't you? Even the laptop, the TV, the table, they are all physical objects, but they also have a vibrational state. And we as individuals, again, have to have a vibrational state that is going to attract certain things, much like a magnet, north attracts south, etc. And we then have to attract certain things. If you go out smoking weed every day, you're going to attract friends who smoke weed. Now, not saying that everyone who smokes weed is not going to be successful, because there are loads of people who are. But for a lot of people, it's not necessarily the right path that they want to go down. So we need to ensure that we are attracting what we want to actually attract, and being honest with ourselves about what we're after from life, and living into that expectation, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, because one of the things that I think what stops people from getting what they want, even though they may talk about it, write goals down, do all the things, vision boards. I do vision boards. You do have to overcome yourself. You have to overcome your fears. And like you were saying about the weed situation, if let's just say, you are a person somehow, that's your calling, unfortunately. Will your religious beliefs get in the way of you getting to that goal? Because sometimes what stops people is their religious beliefs. What stops them is the fear of success, of growing out of their comfort zone. So you have to remove those obstacles out of your way. Just talking about it, and I believe you talk about it, you be about it, it shows up. But then you have to make the leap to get to the other side, and sometimes fear is going to stop that from happening.
Many people say only the evil get rich, only the crooks get rich. That's absolutely not true. That's not true. Because the people who are the wealthiest are actually providing huge value, and that's where they get the money from. Without that,
and I would say McDonald's. I think McDonald's is a great example of that. When McDonald's, doesn't sell healthy food, actually a lot of people die because of eating fatty food and eating food that probably isn't the best for them to be eating. But McDonald's provides a value. you don't want to have to cook. You can go to McDonald's and get a quick meal. It's hot sometimes, and half the time they don't even get your order right. But it's providing a value to people, and therefore they are a multi-billion-dollar business because of their ability to provide value, even though what they provide is not probably food that your doctor is going to recommend you to eat.
Yeah, but as you said, they're providing a value. They are providing food any time of the day. Most of them are 24 hours. They're open after you've gone out drinking or whatever, and the price is not too bad. And it's convenience of, as you said, not having to cook, and you can just go there and eat. Yes, it's not the most healthy of food, but it's down to you as an individual. And again, something that was mentioned in the book under physicality is the chapter. You're in charge of your own physical health. If you eat McDonald's once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, probably not going to be an issue. But if you're eating McDonald's every night, that's then going to be an issue. And that doesn't take away from the value of McDonald's. That's you over-consuming something. So the second one, self-worth.
Self-worth. Okay. So the second one is self-worth. So why is that important? I mean, I know why self-worth is important, but why do you think it's important?
Because if you don't have a self-belief, self-image, and self-worth, you can never get what you're after. If let's say that you're going to be a professional boxer, if you don't have the belief you are worthy of that medal, that win, you're never going to get it. You may in small circumstances by luck or whatever else, but you have to feel that you're worthy of something to have it. We have to understand that what we desire is ours, and we are worth that. So for me, that's a huge one. Is being or believing that you're worthy of something in order to attract it.
Yes, I definitely agree with that 100%. That you have to believe that you're worthy of it, and also you also mentioned about in the realm of believability. I might want $1 billion, or I might say I want $1 trillion, but then what is my realm of believability? Because me accepting, maybe I can probably get my mind wrapped around $1 million easily. But when you start saying, 1 billion, 1 trillion, what is the true? Do you really have the realm of believability? Maybe you need to work to get $1 million. And once you have $1 million and you got your mind wrapped around what that is and how to accumulate that kind of wealth, then maybe you can say, well, maybe I can accumulate $10 million, and maybe you can start doing that. So I do, say to people, you do have to work within your realm of believability and self-worth in order to make those dreams come to reality. So what's number 3?
Yeah, so just to add on what you just said about the self-worth, just a final point before we move on to the third one, is, if you look at Usain Bolt as an example, let's say that you believe and you have the worth or self-belief and self-worth and self-image that you're going to be a 100-meter world champion, but you're 5'5". There's some discrepancy there. Mm-hmm. You have to have a belief that is realistic based on you, as you've rightly said, the believability side. Deep down what's right. If you say you're going to be a 100-meter sprinter, and as I said, you weren't even the fastest in school and you're 5'5", that's not going to be true. So we need to try and establish exactly what that means in real terms. And it's being your best self. It's not to just believe that you can be this, that, and the other. It's being your best self and believing that in an extent that's going to be realistic to you.
And I've seen people who've been told 1,000 times that it's just not for you, or you don't fit the prototype, and because of their believability, and their belief in themselves, their self-worth, they still achieve things that most people told them that they wouldn't achieve.
Yeah. So what soft skills?
Yes. But so what is number 3 on your list?
So I would go down with ritual, because I think that encompasses a lot of the goals and discipline-based approaches. So the law of ritual is obviously the rituals and daily habits that you undertake will determine your long-term outcome. So if every day, we talked about McDonald's a moment ago, didn't we? If you're eating McDonald's every day, watching Netflix 6 hours a day, not speaking to anyone and not being sociable and not showering, where do you think you're going to be in 5 years' time? You're going to be fat, smelly, obese, no skill set, and the only positive is you're probably going to know which are the good shows to watch on TV. Yeah. If we take the same individual, and for those 5 years he was exercising every day, he was writing pages of his new book, he was doing some sort of combat, he was running a business or going to work, he was saving money, he was going out and being social, he was praying or doing some sort of meditation work, he was writing down his goals, his affirmations, and what he's grateful for. Where do you think he's going to be in 5 years in compared to the first guy? The daily habits determine the trajectory. Does that make sense? And the Jeevan today is based on the rituals of 5 years ago. So why not start today, try and understand what rituals you need to incorporate that's going to give the trajectory of where you want to be in 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years time, and start doing them daily. Now, obviously, along the way, your rituals may change. You have kids in 2 years' time, your rituals may change in order to incorporate spending time with your kids or whatever else that may be.
One thing that I believe about ritual, and ritual is definitely key. And you said earlier when you started giving that your analogies about ritual, everything's a ritual. Watching television is a ritual. Bathing is a ritual. All that's a ritual. Even getting up every day and going to a job, that's a ritual. And people really found out how much it was a ritual when they didn't have to go to work. They could work from home. and the shift of working from home, from getting up in the morning, taking a shower, having a cup of coffee, getting dressed, getting in your car, driving to work, or you may commute by local transit to get to work. But that was a ritual. And then when you stop that ritual, you notice a shift, you notice a difference. And so the question is that whatever rituals you're doing, are they bringing value to your life, like your book, Become a Person of Value, or does it obviously does the opposite? Does it not bring value into your life, the rituals that you are doing? And are you obviously you go to work every morning, and that ritual, you get paid every 2 weeks because of that ritual.
Yeah.
And then there could be a ritual where you eat McDonald's every single day, and then that ritual ends up with you being overweight and very unhealthy. So I like that that's an important law to you out of the 50.
And we could literally go through the 50 laws, and I'm sure we could be sat here for hours because they're all really, really important. The law of personal return, totality, the dominant desire. There's so many, and they all, although they are separate, once you understand incorporating them into one body along with all the other parts, you'll start to notice, as we talked about, the trajectory increasing. And it doesn't really matter where you're starting from. If you're starting from 0 or you're starting from 10, you're still going up. You're going up the numbers. If you're looking at as a percentage basis. So it's really important to me that we try and, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for your kids, whether it's for your family, whether it's for God, whoever it's going to be for, just make sure that you are being your best self.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So your book is the Become a Person of Value, and I also noticed that you have an audio version of the book as well.
Yeah, so I've got an audio version as well. I think it's on Audible. So obviously it's important that everyone consumes information differently, don't they?
Yeah.
Some people read, and that's paperback. Some people use Kindle, and some people use audiobooks. I'm one who actually really loves audiobooks because when driving around or walking the dog, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You're doing an activity, even washing the dishes, but you can also listen to something audio. So I decided to do the audiobook. Fortunately for everyone, it's not in my voice. I've actually got someone to read it who's probably a little bit better suited to an audiobook. But yeah, that's a really good way to consume the book.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah. So the second book I've got coming out probably won't have an audio book because it's more of a written. You have to write in the book and detail stuff. So that probably won't be an audiobook, but the first one definitely is worth consuming on an audiobook version.
Okay, cool. And so you are also you said you are a coach, and so obviously you have clients, and so how do you help your clients?
Someone will come in and say, look, I want to go from this level to this level. How do we go about doing that? And then we'll break it down, look at the rituals, the self-worth, the self-image, the daily habits, the mentality, the motivation, and how they can make small changes that are going to deliver results. So that's what coaches are here for, is we're here to offer bespoke solutions to you with all the tools and information we have available to hand. And we work on a basis of, much like, again, one of the other 50 spiritual laws, and very similar to the mastermind principle, really, from Think and Grow Rich. Two people, when they come together, create a third mind. You bounce off ideas, and again, that's what a coach is there for. Sometimes it's just being a sounding board to gather information from you and deliver it back in a way that's going to help you to understand why you should be different and why you should change your ways in order to achieve the goals that you're after. So I hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. So how do people who are interested in working with you, how do they find you? How do they reach out to you? So
Vanquish Transformational Coaching it's obviously the business name. I'm sure you will leave a link for people there. You can just reach out, and obviously we'll see if we're going to be a mutually good fit. If we are, great, we can move forward and see how we can help you. If it's not, then that's fine as well. And maybe it's just a few words I can give you to give you some inspiration. But yeah, definitely reach out. I love helping people and seeing you become your best self. And yeah, why would you want to be a 5 out of 10 when you can be a 10 out of 10? That's all I'm saying.
Okay, cool. And I will leave links in the show description about how to reach out to Jeevan. He's a great, I think everyone needs a coach, definitely a transformational coach, to get you from one place, one level to the next level in your life. I think that's amazing. And if you just maybe you can't reach Jeevan, well, he's in England and Leicester, right? I'm saying it correctly. So if they're not in Leicester, they can work with you online, work with him online, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, obviously COVID has brought its own challenges, but it's also brought a new way of working. Now, obviously, prior to COVID, people were still working remotely, but it's now become even more at the forefront of how people are working. So obviously, as you said, people don't have to just be in Leicester. Obviously, I'll travel around England anyway, because face-to-face is generally better, especially when it's something so personable. But Zoom works just as well. And as you said, we can connect from halfway across the world as we are now, and really talk through things.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for being a guest. Is there anything that you want to mention before we go?
I think just a final point is around the second book. So it's a little bit of a way to coach yourself to an extent. So it's going to be a question a day. So first question might be, where do I want to be in 5 years' time? There'll be some guidance about things to think about. And then there'll be some pages to actually write down where you want to be in 5 years' time. Maybe it's career, maybe it's spiritual wise, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's financial, physical. And then from there, what daily rituals do we need to incorporate to get there? Day 2, different question. Day 3, and there's going to be 366 questions. It's going to be your own personal copy, so you can jot down stuff in there. And that for me is going to be a really good way, interactive way for you to help change things moving forward and really introspect and understand who you really are.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I can't wait for that book to come out. Maybe when you do finally publish that book, it's like a workbook to me. Maybe it will be the Become a Person of Value workbook. Maybe that's what you'll name it. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. Not trying to tell you how to name your book, but maybe that's what you might.
I mean, I've actually not come up with a name yet. I've not come up with a name yet, and I'm looking forward to it being out probably towards the end of this year, maybe early next year.
Okay, well, definitely hit me up when you finally get it published.
Will do.